All right, so let's continue progressing on my dress. So at the back, same shortened, same redraw the arm side, same add here, go all the way down, same add. This just has two pieces, a front piece and a back piece. The front piece has a dart, the back piece does not. If you had a zipper, the zipper would go here and you would have extra marks for the zipper. This does not, it's a pullover dress, so you cut one on fold. If this had a zipper, you'd have a different instruction here, and you'd have some seam allowance here that it does not have. Seam allowance is almost always included in patterns. So I wanted to show you that the back is kind of just like the front in the way that you add to the back the same amount as the front in most cases. Sometimes if you want a really fitted garment, you might add a different amount to the back than to the front. If like you want to take care of like a sway back or hunchback or something like that. But honestly, that's the kind of thing I would take care of in fitting after the fact. But for simple pattern modification, I would not do that at first. I would do that kind of fitting. That's kind of like tailoring after the fact. Now when I get to the sleeve, this is the sleeve pattern for the dress. It's a short sleeve. I don't like short sleeves. I don't know. I've not worn short sleeves like forever, except around the house. Also, you can see from how large this is that I don't think this is actually supposed to be a set-in sleeve. But I don't know. I am used to doing set-in sleeves. So I wanted a different pattern actually for the sleeves. I want a long sleeve. So I found this is a different pattern. I need a long sleeve pattern. So at first I was like, well, maybe I can just line this up. And then I see that this is actually something completely different. It's not going to work. This is from a set-in sleeve. So what I can do is I really just want the length. So I'm going to try several things here. But I can do is I can see that the sizing is the same. So like when I line up the 18, because this sleeve goes up to 20. And this goes up to a 20. So if I line up the sizing is the same. Like this 20, like the 18 line lines up to the 18 line, lines up to the 20 on that side and on this side. So actually the sizing of these two patterns is the same. So what I can do, since I wanted like the 24, is I can find the difference between, I can just line it up even just on one side. What is the difference between the 20 and the 24? It's like half an inch, and then I would add my extra 1/4 of an inch to that, and I would add that on both sides. You can see I would add that 1/4 for this pattern. I would add that on both sides of the pattern, and then I could draw it down, and then I would meet this at the bottom. Like I would just taper it at the bottom so that I have this as length. See, because obviously I don't have this as a sleeve cap, but I could just make it line up here and then taper it down. I could make it line up here and taper it down. Make sure that the center and this center are the same. Make sure that these center holes and this center hole is here. This is a grid, so that helps. And then I could trace, add to the sides, and then line up, just like trace down. So that, because I don't want to add to the bottom, because then it'll be ridiculously wide at the wrist. When I do with my tracing line, I'm going to trace down to the bottom. That is one way to do this, and I think I'm going to try that first. You know, just line it up here, add what I want from the 20 line, right here, and then trace to the bottom, and kind of smooth this out so that the sleeve cap is also adjusted by size. And I can do that either by superimposing this. I can either superimpose this on top, or I can just kind of make this more gradual, so that I draw my line here, and just like I redrew the arm side on the other one, I kind of redraw this. Either way it will work, but the big thing when you add to sleeves is that you can't add 1.5 inches all the way down unless you really want ridiculously large sleeves. You have to remember to taper it down to the wrist. And this part is straight because this is the hem. So actually you're going to taper it down to this point, if that makes sense. And I'll try to make another video for when I actually have that drawn out. And then of course I'll have to fit it, because this is kind of a, you know, this is like a, I've done this before with sleeves. I'll have to show you if I get there ever when I finish it. So I have to go take someone potty, and I'll let you go. So this is the final result of my sleeve. This is the original size 20 line from the original sleeve pattern, the other Simplicity pattern. This is my addition to make it my size on one side and on the other side. And then I just kind of, because you have to kind of redraft this, Mom. I just kind of, you have to add some height. So I added like 1/2 inch. I'll be right with you, buddy. Mom. I just kind of free-handed it up. Because you have to make it kind of smooth. Mom. You have to add some height. And onto the other side. And then just because you added here, you don't want to add it all the way down. This is the original like hemline. So then I just tapered it down to this point, and then it had this is the original hemline and the original cross. So this is the sleeve I'm going to use for the dress. It wasn't real hard, just a little bit of creative drawing. Not going to, this is like the middle of the sleeve where it's going to meet the sleeve cap. Of course, this is the back of the sleeve. This is the front of the sleeve. It's not necessary that the sleeve be perfectly symmetric. Sleeves are not necessarily symmetric front and back. So, and if it's a little bigger, I'm not really worried about it, because you're going to ease it in, right? That's the whole thing about sleeves, is you ease them in. So this is the sleeve pattern I'm going to try to use. Kind of free-handed in a sleeve pattern based on 2 other sleeves. Long sleeve. It isn't quite the original pattern, and it isn't quite the Simplicity pattern that I copied. But it is the correct length. That is the correct hem length, 1.5, 5/8 and 5/8. And I'm going to go for it. So next thing, on to cutting out and actually sewing the dress. I did try the front piece, and the front piece does fit me nicely. So when you try a pattern, of course, you're going to fold the dart. You're going to hold it up to your body and see how it fits against your body. And I thought my adjustments actually fit pretty well, and it flowed nicely over hips. So I think it's actually going to work out and have the look that I want. So of course that depends on my actual sewing skill, but I think it's gonna be all right. You know, there's of course the matter of choosing the correct fabric. You want a fabric for this one that's not real stiff. Well, I guess that could be if you wanted it to, but I don't want a real stiff. So you want a fabric that kind of drapes and flows. And then of course there's the embellishment issue. This is a real simple dress, so this is one you could embellish. Either have a busy print, or you could, focus on the fabric, or you could do embroidery designs on the hem or the sleeves or on the neckline. But if you are focusing on the fit or the lines of the dress itself, like the garment has a lot of fitting lines, like then you would want a real simple fabric. But this one, I don't know. I'll think about what I'm doing once I get there. But I think the fitting is looking real good. I can't show you the fitting because I'm a one-person show and it's hard to do that. But basically, yeah, you hold the pattern pieces against yourself kind of make sure that you fold the dart so you see how the dart fits. Of course, it's only half of a piece, and then you kind of eyeball and see how is this going to fit. Is it going to be tight or too loose? And you go from there. Of course, there is some fitting you can do after the fact, tailoring, and so forth. Thank you.